Meet video. A very good morning once again, one and all. I am Asha from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, and we are immensely pleased to welcome you all to the 62nd Convocation of the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. We are honored to have with us distinguished dignitaries, respected faculty, proud families, and of course the graduating batch whose achievements we are here to celebrate today. Let us now begin the day's proceedings with an invocation, Tamirthai Vartha, followed by Vande Mataram. I request you all to please rise up for the same.
கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராரும் வதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் அது சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை சிரம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்ததுமே வாழ்த்ததுமே வாழ்த்ததுமே. மாதரம்.
Chief guest, Honorable Shri Ajit Doval ji, Kirti Chakra, National Security Advisor. Guest of Honor, Dr. Padma Subramaniam. Chairman, Board of Governors, Dr. Pawan Goenka. Members of the Board of Governors, members of the Senate, dearest graduates, distinguished invitees and colleagues, and my dearest students. Friends, please join me in welcoming our distinguished chief guest, Shri Doval ji. He needs no introduction, but on a personal note, I consider myself blessed to be associated with him as a member of National Security Advisory Board for close to a decade now. He has been my guru, my mentor, my friend, philosopher and guide. He has taught and continued to teach me from as big as what is patriotism, what it means to really serve Bharat, all the way down to how to make a proposal and how to present one. Many lessons he has taught me. I find it appropriate to mention few of them here. To mention a few, lesson number 1, while writing a proposal, you must understand what the end user wants rather than what you know. Lesson 2, never celebrate inauguration of a project, must celebrate only its successful closure. At IITM administration, whenever I get to handle, in my view, a complex scenario, I just think of him, the complex decision he takes, and everything reduces to a trivial or rather embarrassingly trivial matter for me. Thank you, sir, for being such a great mentor. As the Tamil saying goes, Kattrathu kaimannalavu, kalladhathu ulagalavu. Whatever I have learned is just equal to a handful of sand when compared with what I need to learn, that is equal to the entire universe. I will continue to learn more and more from you, sir. Sir, here are the youth who will be serving our Viksit Bharat at 2047. The Viksit Bharat as envisioned by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. I have no doubt that your address today will remain in their heart and guide them in their remarkable journey through the Amrit Kaal of Bharat. Dear Shri Padma ji, As her name suggests, she is the recipient of all the 3 Padma Awards from the Honorable President of Bharat. You are a representative of the rich culture of Bharat. Your presence this year is apt, as our institute, IIT Madras, is the first of all IITs to have introduced the Fine Arts and Cultural Excellence admission, encouraging children with accolades in the field of fine arts and culture to join our coveted undergraduate BTech programs on campus. Thank you very much, Madam. IIT Madras continues to be on the top of the NIRF rankings for over 9 years in a row. We have jumped by 47 ranks to enter the top 200 for the first time in QS World Rankings. The current year, IIT Madras was awarded several other awards, the CA Awards and CNBC TV 18 Awards, to name a few. In this convocation, 3,227 students are receiving the degree. Jai Anusandhan, the dream of our Honorable Prime Minister. For the first time in the history of IIT Madras, we have crossed 500 students being awarded the PhD degree. Congratulations to all the research scholars and their guides. In line with Sustainable Development Goal 4 of the United Nations, to provide accessible, affordable, quality education for all, the multi-entry, multi-exit BS online degree program, web-enabled MTech for industry, and multiple initiatives by the Center for Outreach and Digital Education benefits more than 100,000 candidates every year. We have been involved in several other initiatives for students from towns and villages, including out-of-the-box thinking, finishing school to enhance employability, School Connect program for class 10 to 12 students, STEM program for training government school children of our Tamil Nadu state government in electronics. The Vidya Shakti project started in 2021, involving setting up of rural interaction center to meet the gross enrollment ratio of 50% by 2035, as set by the National Education Policy 2020. It has now reached 4 lakh students across 6 Indian states and Sri Lanka. The first international campus of IIT Madras at Zanzibar, Tanzania, is entering her 3rd year, with multiple courses being offered and increased collaboration with industry. The ATL Africa Fellowship deserves a special mention here. IITM Global, a unique exploratory initiative of IIT Madras, aspires to position IIT Madras as the world's first multinational university, offering a platform for startups, innovation, research, and international academic and skilling programs. In this financial year, we plan to establish our presence in UAE, USA, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Germany. The 15 centers of excellence funded through the Institute of Eminence funding provided by the Ministry of Education, Government of India, has turned out to be a world-class interdisciplinary groups involved in very high-end research of techno-social economic importance, a prime reason for us to leap into the top 200 band in the world rankings. Through these centers, for the first time in history, IIT Madras is the only institution to have released the data of human brain and Bharat Cancer Genome Atlas in the open domain, providing free access to all. I immensely thank Professor Mohan Shankar and Professor Mahalingam for the same. Improving the diversity in campus and continuing the unique experiment of introducing sports excellence admission in the last academic year for our coveted undergraduate programs, we have introduced the Fine Arts and Cultural Excellence phase and Science Olympiad Excellence scope admissions to encourage students pursuing those pathways. This is in line with the holistic education as promoted by the National Education Policy 2020. Keeping in trend with emerging R&D and industry requirements, IIT Madras has introduced BS in Chemistry, BTech in Computational Engineering and Mechanics, BTech in Instrumentation and Biomedical Engineering, and MTech in Electric Vehicles this academic year. It's not moving. Okay. We continue to coordinate the Swayam and Swayam Plus platforms funded by the Ministry of Education, Government of India, reaching millions of students who credit these courses in their academic bank of credit and transfer them into their respective degree programs they are pursuing. Viksit Bharat at 2047 will be a product nation and a startup nation, and IIT Madras is gearing up for this. 457 startups incubated so far, valued over 50,000 crores. Aether Energy, the first to go IPO. I congratulate the entire innovation and entrepreneurship stack of IIT Madras, the ECell, the C5, the Center for Innovation, Nirman, Incubation Cell, Pravartak, Rural Technology-Based Business Incubator, Bio Incubator, the Health Technology Innovation Center, the IIT Madras Research Park, and the Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center. As a result of very focused hard work in the financial year 24-25, we have incubated 103 startups. The startup Shatam didn't come true. Keeping our IITM for all motto, more than 50% of these are founded by youth outside the IIT Madras system and mentored by IIT Madras faculty. These startups are spread across multiple deep core technology domains, demonstrating the depth of core technology translational research happening in our institute. Several IIT Madras generated technology has been transferred to industry. Here is what that have been transferred in the last 3 years. For the second consecutive financial year, we have achieved the patent a day target by filing 417 of them in the financial year 24-25. The Industrial Consultancy and Sponsored Research Cell has been sanctioned with 302 government agencies sponsored project worth INR 317.99 crores. 982 industry consultancy and sponsors research project worth INR 906.41 crores. The institute hosted the Inventive R&D Fair involving top NIRF ranked higher education institutions in our country, demonstrating 100 research and product ideas. The Office of Global Engagement has put in their best efforts to increase the number of international students on campus with scholarships and launch multiple. With our powerful 65,000 plus alumni network, around 0.5% are recognized as distinguished alumni. I congratulate the 10 distinguished alumni awardees this year and also the 2 distinguished alumni in the making, the Young Alumni Achiever Awards. Hope to see many of you in this list. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Pawan Goenka, Chairman of our Board of Governors, for the Padma Shri Award for his yeoman's service to technology and nation. Dr. Sethunaman Panchanathan, former Chief of the National Science Foundation, United States of America, and our distinguished alumnus, was also conferred the Padma Shri. 7 of our faculty became fellows in academies. Professor Bhaskar, Suresh Garimala, and Dr. Somnath became fellows of the National Academy of Engineering, USA. Professor Prabhu Rajagopal and Professor Radhakrishna Kanti were awarded the coveted Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award. Dr. Surendra Singh was awarded the INAE Young Associate Award. On the sports front, the IIT Madras women's team won the Women's General Championship for the second consecutive year in 57th Inter-IIT Sports Meet. IIT Madras secured overall General Championship runner-up. As a special mention, Alfan Kristen won the beach volleyball gold in Khelo India event and will be representing Bharat in international events. I am very excited to note that it is no more just placement and jobs. It is increasingly more about entrepreneurship and civil services as a career for our students, to an extent that we have renamed our placement cell as Career Pathway Center. More than 200 students participated in a session on demystifying UPSC for Bharat's brightest minds. I am very confident that we will have several of our IITM alumnus in key civil services serving the Viksit Bharat at 2047. On the infrastructure side, the construction of new academic complex, the state-of-art Sitara indoor sports complex, the administrative and hostel block at our Discovery campus at Tayyur, the renovated Institute Hospital, and the IIT Madras Mastro Ilayaraja Center for Music Learning and Research are either completed or launched during the current financial year. Auroville Foundation and IIT Madras have signed a MOU to set up the Auroville IIT Madras Sustainability Campus in a 100-acre plot at Auroville. The campus will house projects related to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and a state-of-the-art sustainability incubator. The Hyundai Innovation Center for Green Hydrogen, a support for Bharat's decarbonization and net zero targets of 2070, was launched at our Discovery Campus at Tayyur. A 65,000 square feet facility will be constructed through the generous CSR support of rupees 180 crores by Hyundai. To support the IITM incubated startups, we plan to launch a special VC fund of rupees 200 crores in the coming financial year. After successfully demonstrating patent a day, 100 startups a year, Startup Shatam, I have no doubt that by 2032, we will have one IPO every month. All these are preparations for the target. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Pawan Goenka. For one more reason, he is the longest serving chairman of Board of Governors of IIT Madras. Over the last decade plus of your chairmanship, sir, IITM has grown beyond whatever we had imagined. I must place on record your continued support to all our initiatives, and on behalf of faculty, staff and students, thank you very much. I also thank the Board of Governors, Ministry of Education, Government of India, Government of Tamil Nadu, CSR partners, alumni, industry partners and funding agencies for their support. We are here because of you. Jai Hind.
For the last 11 years, I've spoken from that side, so I got confused. Sorry about that. Thank you, Professor Kamakoti, for that status update on IIT Madras. What an exciting year IIT Madras has had in the previous year. Our chief guest, Sri Ajit Doval, distinguished faculty, proud parents, and all, it is my honor and privilege to address you at this momentous occasion of the 62nd Convocation ceremony of IIT Madras. On behalf of the Board of Governors, I warmly welcome Sri Ajit Doval, the National Security Advisor of India. The applaud that you gave when his name was taken by the director shows that he needs no introduction. I've had privilege, not as long as Professor Kamakoti, but for the last 3 years of working with him in my current capacity as chairman in his space. What I can say, he is an unassuming person, but always on top of any issue that we are discussing. Just coincidentally, when I was coming in here last night in the flight, I saw a small article on him, a very interesting article, that described him as a person who is very analytical, very pragmatic, not emotional, but sensitive, a hardcore Indian by heart, mind, and soul. I couldn't agree more. We are deeply honored to have you here today, sir, and I'm sure it will be a treat for all of us to listen to you. It is an honor for us to have Dr. Padma Subramaniam. As the director mentions, he is one of the very few persons to have received 3 Padma Awards. Highly acclaimed dancer, research scholar, choreographer, teacher, singer, music composer, author, and Indiologist. So we are in for a double treat today. As the director said that this is my 12th convocation. I don't think anybody has been on this forum more than I have been, longer than I have been. Usually I give a longest speech, but today, since we have a double treat coming to us, I'll keep my speech very short. First, I want to congratulate the director, faculty, staff, and the students of IIT Madras for continuing to be on top of the NIRF ranking, 9th year in a row, and for breaking the 200 mark in the QS ranking on our way to the target of breaking the 100 mark. And I want to congratulate you, the graduating class of 2025. Today marks the culmination of years of hard work, perseverance, and growth. I share in your joy and pride, as sometimes, long time ago, 50 years ago, I was where you are, though from a different IIT, on the brink of a journey filled with uncertainty, but promise. I feel both nostalgic and excited. Today I want to speak to you as a fellow engineer, one who has walked a long road, sometimes confidently, sometimes unsure, but always willing to learn and improve. I'd like to share a few life lessons that have stayed with me. These may not be in any textbooks, but they are been powerful signposts in my own journey. First, I believe you must follow your heart. Let me begin with a story, one that shaped the trajectory of my life. In the early 90s, I, along with my family, were well settled in the USA, working in the auto industry. Life was comfortable. We left behind certainty, comfort, and a familiar system to return to an India where building a global product from scratch was still a dream. No spreadsheet would have justified the decision. No logic would have said that's the right decision. But a heart said, yes, let's do it. So we did. And that move of heart put me at the center of the Scorpio development that changed the automotive engineering in India, only because I listened to my heart. So my friends, we engineers are trained to think logically, to run models, assess risks, optimize solutions, but not every decision in life can be justified with logic. If there is one thing I have learned, it's that when your heart says something, don't ignore it, because often, not always, but often, your heart sees something that your head does not. Lesson number 2, you're never too old to start learning. Let me fast forward to 2022, when I was offered the current role as chairman of InSpace. I had spent decades in automotive industry, but when the opportunity came to help shape India's private space ecosystem, I said yes. Not because I was ready for it, not because I was confident that I can do it, but because I believed in what impact it could have. At the age of 67, I was back in learning mode, studying orbital mechanics, reviewing launch architecture, engaging with young founders, younger than my kids, and in them, just like in you, I see what India was becoming: bold, brilliant, and hungry to lead. And you know what? I loved it. I rediscovered the joy of learning, of not knowing and slowly figuring it out. These 3.5 years have been amongst the most enjoyable and fulfilling part of my 45-year career. So never stop learning. We often think of education as something that happens in our 20s. But in truth, the most interesting lives are those where you stay a student always. So if there's one thing I'd urge you never to outgrow, is your curiosity. Stay teachable, stay interested. That's how you stay relevant and, more importantly, fulfilled. And the third lesson I offered you today is that path of excellence is rarely easy, but always worth it. If you ever find yourself doubting your place, remember, we all start somewhere. What matters is whether you keep going. Today, I see in you the same spark, the capacity to adopt, the resilience to overcome, and the brilliance to create. And that brings me to the larger story, the story of India in 2047, as Professor Kamakoti talked about. Our Honorable Prime Minister has outlined a bold vision, that of a Viksit Bharat, a fully developed India by the time we celebrate 100 years of independence, a $32 trillion economy, a nation where opportunity is equitable, innovation is native, and growth is sustainable. A nation that leads the world not just in size, but in substance. But let's be clear, Viksit Bharat is not just going to happen by itself. It will require tremendous effort from all Indians. It is not a Prime Minister's dream. It's a generational responsibility, and it belongs to you, the class of 2025. You will be at the peak of your careers in 2047. It is you who will build the infrastructure, design the technologies, write the policies, and lead the institutions that shape the India of the future. You are not just graduating today. You are the architects, builders, visionaries, and dreamers. And this nation is the canvas awaiting your imagination. Whether you choose to become a researcher, an entrepreneur, corporate leader, public service, or academia, ask yourself, how can I help more? How can I help move India forward? Not just in GDP, but in dignity, access, equity, and excellence. I will close with a thought. You have been given an extraordinary education at IIT Madras, one of the finest institutions in the world. But what you do with it will define your legacy. So God bless. Jai Hind.
Good morning, everyone. It is indeed a great privilege to have amongst us Dr. Padma Subramaniam as the guest of honor for the 62nd Convocation of IIT Madras. She needs no introduction, especially in the world of Indian arts and culture, yet it is my proud duty to present to this young graduating batch one of India's most revered cultural icons, Dr. Padma Subramaniam. A legendary Bharatanatyam exponent and scholar, she has dedicated her life to preserving and promoting India's rich artistic and spiritual heritage, and her legacy will continue to inspire generations. Dr. Padma Subramaniam is an internationally acclaimed Bharatanatyam dancer, choreographer, composer, researcher, teacher, and author. Much like the multidisciplinary spirit of IIT Madras, she seamlessly blends art, scholarship, and innovation. As a revered Indic scholar, her work bridges ancient tradition with modern interpretation, a pursuit of depth and excellence that resonates deeply with our faculty, students, and researchers. At present, she serves as the president of Nrityodaya, a cultural institution founded by her father in 1942. She is also the founder and managing trustee of the Bharat Ilango Foundation of Asian Culture and a trustee of the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, New Delhi. Dr. Padma Subramaniam is a true innovator in Indian classical dance. Through her pioneering research, she revived the ancient Marga tradition and created Bharata Nrityam, an original dance from that seamlessly blends tradition and innovation. Reflecting the same creative spirit, we endeavor to nurture in young students at IIT Madras. Her unwavering devotion to Bharatiya Samskriti, inspired by the blessings of Kanchi Paramacharya, His Holiness Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swamigal, has shaped our life's mission. Much like the scholar innovatives of IIT Madras, her multifarious pursuits, from authoring books to researching Agama sculptures to creating over 150 dance productions, reflects a temperament of deep inquiry and cultural insights. Her contributions have made Indian heritage accessible to all. Among her countless honors, she is the proud recipient of Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, and Padma Vibhushan, the Academy Ratna, to mention a few, and the only Indian performing artist to be conferred with the Fukuoka Asian Cultural Prize of Japan and to be recognized as Fellow of the Asiatic Society of Mumbai for her academic contributions. I also take this opportunity to share with you all that our guest of honor wrote a letter in 2021 to our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji, highlighting the historic role of Sengol during India's independence, which eventually led to its installation in the new parliament. It's a proud moment for India and especially for Tamil Nadu. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Padma Subramaniam is not just a dancer, she is a scholar, cultural ambassador, a teacher, and a tireless preserver and innovator of India's artistic heritage. Please join me in welcoming this legendary figure, Dr. Padma Subramaniam, to the 62nd Convocation of IIT Madras. Thank you.
Om Sadgurubhyo Namaha. My salutations to this temple of learning, IIT Madras. I feel honored to have been invited by Dr. Kamakoti, your esteemed and dynamic director, to deliver this year's convocation address. I'm so happy to share the stage with no less a person than Ajit Doval, who is the guardian angel of our country. And on behalf of all of us, I congratulate him for the success of Operation Sindoor. Let me also congratulate your director, your registrar, all your faculty members, and my dear students, for all that you have achieved through this great organization. I am told that I am the second lady to have been given this task of giving the convocation address, the last person having been former Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi. I think the women here will. I also deem it as a recognition for art that science and technology confers. This is perhaps a turning point for experiencing an amalgamation cognition which traditionally Bharatiya Kalachara has stood for. My convocation address is on a panoramic view of Bharatiya culture. This is perhaps, as I said, a turning point to understand Bharatiya culture from a holistic point of view. IITM has been giving importance for performing arts through your festivals. Now a new door has been opened to admit students in recognition of their merits in fine arts, and thank you for the same. I hope enough numbers will be reserved for women candidates. I hope there will be a day when IIT opens regular courses in humanities and performing arts in particular. Culture of a nation depends so much on the very aesthetics of living, leading to the well-being of the society. India is perhaps the only nation that can boast of a perennial flow of culture. It is here that centuries coexist. Understanding these cultural values will enable the swelling of our common self-esteem. Swami Vivekananda played a significant role in reviving yoga, both as a physical and a spiritual discipline. Thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, for making yoga global and thus helping refinement in humanity. Swami Vivekananda believed that India had a rich cultural heritage encompassing literature, art, music, and philosophy, which needs to be revitalized. It is a matter of pride that UNESCO has recently recognized two of our ancient texts and included them in the World Memory Register. They are Bhagavad Gita and Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra. Bhagavad Gita synthesizes the knowledge of life here and thereafter. The historic victory of Operation Sindoor is a manifestation of adherence to valor that Bhagavad Gita preaches. As a proud Indian, I have always offered my salutations to our Jawans, who are our national guardian angels. Way back in 1960s Ministry of Defense, the terrain there, most of you will know, is very high altitude with 40% less oxygen, and this compelled me and my group to take puffs of oxygen provided by the army doctor after every 5 minutes of dancing. I have no words to praise our brave hearts for their fighting for our nation in such a challenging environment, thanks to our cultural morale that Bhagavad Gita offers. The Natya Shastra picturizes the life of three worlds transcending time and space. It brings to our eyes both Chetana and Achetana objects, that is, living and non-living objects. Both these works are easily the oldest extant literature in the world to scientifically explain the most abstract concepts. Still, it must be remembered that our Vedic literature stands the test of time, being the primary source for even these two texts. It must be said that the God particle that is being searched by the atomic physicists is already revealed in the Vedic literature and even Tamil literature relating to Shaiva Siddhanta. Women folk that it was Gargi, wife of Yajnavalkya, who was the first ever jury in the debate on the highly metaphysical subject held by the Vedic rishis. This shows the woman power that Bharatiya Kalachara had offered in society since time immemorial. The Vedic literature is the primary source for the common culture of Bharatvarsha. 18 subjects branch out of Vedic studies. These include art, science, medicine, warfare, astronomy, and allied astrology as well. Our astronomers knew that the 28th star, Abhijit, exists, though it cannot be viewed from Earth. The basis of Vedic culture had percolated into every nook and corner of our subcontinent. It is a marvel that our Panchanga Josiers, astrologers, prepare the almanac for the year with absolutely no apparatus whatsoever, and their prediction of eclipse tallies with those of the modern scientists. For example, the fishermen of Tamil Nadu who followed their almanac did not venture into the sea on the day of tsunami. I'm saying this with personal experience. I'm from Nagapattinam, which is my native town. The wild aggression of the sea was predicted with precision of date and time. Celebrating of Shankaranti, that is Pongal of Tamil Nadu, is observed even by tribals of North India based on astronomical factors. Bharatiya culture knew to calculate space and time and maintain calendars based on astronomical factors. It is through these sources that we understand that Sri Rama and Sri Krishna were historic personalities, and our itihasas and Puranas are not, quote, badly made legends worthy of no credence, unquote, as deemed by the Westerners. In fact, these literatures reveal history. Culture is a term which embodies manifold factors in time and space. Pujya Shri Kanchi Mahaswami traces the root of this term as kal, meaning refinement. Words like kalvi, meaning education, kalai, art, kalacharam, etc. Kalacharam is actually following inherited norms according to Tamil language. Even in English, kal seems to link words like college, colloquium, etc. In short, culture is a refined way of life. Performing and plastic arts are part of that aesthetics of living. Culture reflects the grade in collective refinement in thought, word, and action. It manifests itself as the civilizational progress of man. Well, progress in time is not always progress of the human being. As we experience today, machine seems to have invaded man. The days of mental sums in arithmetic. In India, rishis taught these values, which, when observed, led to united pleasantness in society. Culture here is man's relation with parents, teachers, and surroundings, taught as primary lessons. This is common revelation from both Sanskrit and Tamil traditional learning. Concepts like parents are tangible gods, teacher is equal to God, positive and negative factors are not one's own making, the results of one's own actions, that is the law of karma. The idea of law of janma, that is rebirth, helped in developing detachment and equanimity. The binding with family values and social protocols paved the way for creating responsible citizens. These are all reflected in the literature that formed the primary lesson before the advent of Macaulay's education policy. In Bharat, education and culture was intertwined, and the Vedas have been the primary source for both knowledge and wisdom. The root vid means knowledge, and all the 18 subjects have their links with Vedas. For example, medicine, warfare, and polity are stemming from Atharva Veda. Gandharva Veda is an Upaveda of Samaveda pertaining to music. Natya Veda, which is also called Natya Shastra, comes under Gandharva Veda. The term Shastra implies science, and hence Natya Shastra is the text relating to the science of the art of drama. The same work is referred to as Natya Veda, since it promotes wisdom, which is Shastra had been the common text for theatre art throughout the Indian subcontinent and many parts of Asia. It seems to have sailed across the Indian Ocean along with Ramayana several centuries ago. Adherents and contemporary traditions there. In fact, the masks of Hindu Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, along with that of Bharata Muni, is worshipped in every auditorium and schools of performing arts in countries like Thailand and Cambodia. Taking inspiration from these, I designed a Bharata Muni idol for his memorial, which is placed in Bharata Ilango Foundation for Asian Culture, which is a pan-Asian research center for performing arts. This idol was copied for a replica, which is now adorning the threshold of Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, New Delhi. What is special about Bharatiya Natya Shastra to be revered world over? I will try to justify in a capsule form. Natya Shastra was discovered in bits and pieces by foreign scholars, and a part of it was first brought out by an American Sanskrit scholar in 1865. In India, the whole text was first published from Bombay in 1894. The discovery of Abhinava Gupta's commentary from Kashmir was a milestone in the modern history of the text. The first volume of the Baroda edition came out in 1926. Abhinavagupta of Kashmir was a contemporary of our Saint Ramanuja of South India about 1,000 years ago. I had started my research on the fourth chapter of Natya Shastra way back in 1962, relating to the 108 dance movements called Karanas, which had actually been obsolete for over 5 centuries. My dream was to bridge the gap between theory, history, and practice. With God's grace and Kanchi Mahaswami's blessings, I have turned my dream into a reality through a correlated study of the text, commentary, and the relevant sculptures and inscriptions from Tamil Nadu. Natya Shastra is the earliest extant literature on dramaturgy in the world. As in the case of several other texts, including the Vedas, the antiquity of this text had been purposely or otherwise diminished. In my humble research, I have proved that it is as old as our epic Ramayana. The work is in 36 chapters, strangely coinciding with 36 tattvas of Kashmiri Shaivism. It has been the common grammar for performing arts throughout the subcontinent and even more. Natya is defined as a representation of all the 7 continents in the world, and more particularly meant for Jambu Dvipa. Puranic geography reveals Jambu Dvipa as the landmass of Eurasia. That indicates the civilizational unity causing common cultural foundation. With this study as background, we can recognize the awe-inspiring inclusivity that the basic text on dramaturgy offers from Bharat. The Natya Shastra offers scope for multi-dimensional research in both arts and science. I think this is what I would love IIT to take cognizance of. The chapter on design for an auditorium needs to be studied by students of architecture. 9 kinds of auditorium are given with details of dimension. The terms used for measurements are same as that used for Shilpa Shastra. This chapter is to be studied by both architects and sculptors who deal with Agama Shastras, which give the science of temple architecture. The consecration of place of host of Vedic gods. One interesting feature is the description of the installation and worship of 4 main pillars representing 4 varnas. It shows how Natya is common for all varnas. We get information for the history of sociology from Natya Shastra. The astrological details with regard to the building will be of interest to the relevant scholars. The mantras given for the worship of different deities will be useful for researching from Vedic and Agamic points of view. The chapters on music throw light on the history of Indian music and also justifies my taking Natya Shastra to the period of Ramayana. Following Natya Shastra came to be referred to as Marga, that is pathway, in our cultural history. Deshi was the term given to the regional adherents. The sculptures in our temples also follow Natya Shastra for postures. The famous Ananda Tandava figure of Nataraja is the 24th Karana movement described in the Natya Shastra. 108 movements described in the 4th chapter are frozen as sculptures and are seen scattered all over India and Southeast Asia. However, all 108 are found in serial order in a few temples in Tamil Nadu. All our neo-classical forms of dance like Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Odissi, and so on are all deshis of the respective regions. A little over 1,000 years ago, when Rajaraja Chola was creating the Karana sculptures at Brihadishwara temple in Tanjavur in Tamil Nadu, simultaneously, Abhinav Gupta was writing the commentary for the text in Kashmir. If the culture of our country was not under one umbrella, how can this be explained? Bharata speaks of several groups of people from Himalayas down south and suggests specific styles in production of plays to suit their respective tastes. It must be mentioned here that there is no reference to Arya and Dravida as 2 races in this text. The two-race theory was the creation of the Westerners to divide and rule us. Unfortunately, still you are able to see the influence of that division. Theatre art, that is Natya, is based on expression of ideas. Expression is called abhinaya, meaning drawing the idea towards the spectator. Natya Shastra is also in sutra form, that is expressed as a formula. The psychology of movements, the art of verbal expression, the indicativeness of costumes, etc., and the involvement of the mind are all elaborately analyzed. That is why it is a Shastra. Shastras are scientific texts relevant beyond time and space. Natya Shastra is the first text to analyze the process and progress of appreciation. This is called the Rasa theory, which has ruled the world of literature and arts throughout history in our country. Rasa is a concept and not a word to be translated. The enjoyment that the spectator gains is rasa, and it is of 9 types. Abhinav Gupta's commentary raises this intellectual analysis into a spiritual experience. The exposure to beauty removes the moth that hides the soul, which by nature is blissful. This Ananda Atma is experienced at least momentarily by the Rasika. Hence, rasa is only one, whether it is sorrow or anger. The sweetness of tragic tales of rasa. The horror of combats is also enjoyed as rasa. The Rasika sits on the edge of the chair in anxiety and still enjoys the For the practicing dancer, it is frozen dynamics. For the sculptor and the critic, it is a beautiful piece of art. For the philosopher, it is the Nadanta Natana, eternal performance of the Lord for his pana, eternal performance of the Lord for his panchakriya, that is fivefold activity, namely creation, dance of the subatomic world. The wonder is that this single piece of sculpture has immense information for one who desires to have. This fusion of science, technology, and metaphysics is magnificently placed in front of CERN, where God particle is being searched. This is the dichotomy in the field of research. It only proves that more interdisciplinary work is the need of the day. Only IIT Madras can foster that. Thank you so much. My best wishes to all those who are receiving their degrees today. Namaskaram.
It is with immense pleasure and gratitude that I stand before you all today to express our heartfelt thanks to our much celebrated and esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Padma Subramaniam. Madam, your presence here today has truly elevated the convocation to a remarkable level. IIT Madras is deeply honored to have had the privilege of listening to your insightful words and witnessing your inspiring presence in the convocation. On this occasion, it is fitting that Madam Padma Subramaniam is present when IITM admits the first batch of students under the program FACE, Fine Arts and Culture Excellence. The 6 students to whom you will be giving the seat allotment letter will never forget this auspicious and momentous occasion in their lives. On behalf of IIT Madras, I extend our deepest appreciation and thanks to you, Madam, for being with us when we mark this cultural and important milestone and for making this event a memorable and prestigious occasion for all the graduates as well as the new entrants. Thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a privilege for me to introduce a towering figure in the realm of national security and strategic affairs, Shri Ajit Doval KC, the current National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of India. Born in Garhwal, Uttarakhand in 1945, Shri Doval's journey from Himalayan foothills to the heart of India's security establishment is one marked by extraordinary service, intellectual depth, and an unyielding commitment to the nation. He completed his early education in Delhi and Ajmer and earned a master's degree in economics from the University of Agra, graduating with a distinction, securing the first position in his class. Shri Doval joined the Indian Police Service in 1968 and soon transitioned to the Intelligence Bureau in 1972. Over the next 3 decades, he held a series of pivotal assignments both within India and abroad. He is widely recognized as an operations expert, having worked extensively in regions critical to India's security interest, including the Northeast, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, and beyond. His contributions were instrumental in ending insurgency in Mizoram and enabling political transformation in Sikkim. A defining aspect of his career was his tenure in Pakistan, where he spent over 6 years undertaking some of his most challenging assignments. He later served as a minister in the Indian High Commission in London and retired as Director of Intelligence Bureau in 2005. Shri Doval has the rare distinction of being awarded the prestigious Kirti Chakra, one of the biggest, highest peacetime gallantry award. Remarkably, he also became the youngest officer to receive the Indian Police Medal for the meritorious service in just 6 years, far ahead of the typical 17-year benchmark. He also been conferred the President Police Medal for distinguished services. Post-retirement, Shri Doval continued to shape India's security discourse as the founding director of the Vivekananda International Foundation, a New Delhi-based think tank focusing on national security and strategic affairs. Since May 30, 2014, he has served as a National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of India, a role in which he has been at the forefront of several transformative national security and foreign policy initiatives. Dear all, with great pride and privilege, please join me in welcoming a statesman, a strategist, and a sentinel of national interest, Shri Ajit Doval, to the 62nd Convocation of IIT Madras. Thank you.
And a performer like Dr. Padma Subramaniam that you all heard, listening to a man who is only from the field of security. But nevertheless, Dr. Pawan Goenka, Chairman of the Governing Council of the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, greetings to you on the award of your Padma Award, which you richly deserve. Your contribution to the country is great, and it's also a matter of pride that you're also a former IITian. Dr. V. Kamakoti, Director of IIT, whom I hold in one of the highest esteems, and whose contribution to, not only to the institution and to the discipline of engineering and technology, but to the nation at large, has been tremendous. My association with him now for nearly a decade has been stupendous. And I'll tell you that in very, very difficult times, he had held our hand and has continued to guide and give us a lot of comfort and a lot of support. Esteemed members of the Senate, members of the staff, graduating students and their families, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I really feel honored and delighted to be here at this hallowed institution of a great reputation, which has got the first of many kinds to its credit, whose contribution, whose pioneership, whose new initiatives has been of a great value to this nation. I must say that to be here on this very solemn occasion is a matter of great privilege for me. I also take this opportunity to congratulate all the young graduates, the most fortunate ones, the one in the history of this nation, which I'll tell you why, that why you are the most fortunate generation of in last 1,000 years of India's history. And once again, I'm also grateful to the director who invited me here. Gentlemen, firstly, you should all be very proud that you belong to an institution of which tomorrow you will be the alma mater, the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, which has produced 48,000 graduates like you who have served the nation and has made a great name for themselves and for their country. What you have achieved is great. You have proven intelligence, dexterity, commitment, by which you have been able to achieve, which very few in this country aspire and are able to achieve it as a reality. You also have got a great future ahead. There is no doubt about it. The world is before you to succeed. The point is whether you will be able to intertwine your growth and progress with something beyond you. Will you be able to contribute to the society, to the country, to the civilization to which you owe a lot? When Director Kamakoti asked me to be here, obviously I was quite reluctant. I never make public appearances. As Dr. Goenka just told me, first time I'm seeing you anywhere in a public platform in last 7 years. I don't know when was it that it was the last 7 years. But normally, I never go. But firstly, my respect for Professor Kamakoti is one thing. But secondly, I had a very small message to give to you. And I thought that I will take this opportunity to convey a very small message. But before that, I will have to provide you a perspective. You belong to a country, to a civilization which has been beleaguered, bled, dishonored, this thing for 1,000 years. We have suffered a lot. Our ancestors have suffered. Our pitras, as we call them, I do not know how much of the humiliation, deprivations, hardships they have undergone to keep the civilization alive, to keep this notion of the nation alive. Nation is different from a state. India as a nation had existed for millenniums. It may be a new state. Even when we got independence in 1947, our GDP was barely $20 billion. Less than 1.9% of what it is today. We had 80% population below the poverty line. And do you know, just a few years, but 2-3 years before the independence came, we suffered a famine in Bengal. It's a pity that nobody talks about it in India today. Do you know, as per the British records, how many people died in that starvation death, due to starvation death? There were 60 lakh people died. And there was nothing that was talked about it in the slave nation. That showed that the country's spirit had been enslaved to that extent that it became a non-event. Today, if there are 5 such deaths, the whole country will rise. The youth will, you will find governments will fall. Deaths due to starvation because you could not eat. And therefore 60 lakh people died as per the records. That is the thing that we came. And as Dr. Goenka said, we will be completing 100 years of our independence 22 years from now. You will be at the prime of your careers. You will be in your mid-40s or late 40s. You would have experience. You will have the knowledge. You would also have the personal stability, financial stability, family stability, social stability by that time. And still you will have many decades to contribute and work. What will be that India like? Let us visualize. Dr. Goenka said we'll have a GDP of 32 trillion as against probably 4.1 today. About 8 times of the present one. Our per capita income will be about $22,000 per head, per person, from 2,500 now. We will have working population of 1.1 billion people, highest in the world, which will be better educated, which will be highly skilled, which will be globally interconnected, and will also have the largest technical pool. In contrast, China will have a squeezed 700 million, 23% less than what it is today. We will have the world's largest military force. At present, 1.9% of GDP of 4.1 trillion, we have got a budget of $77 billion. If it's a 32 trillion economy, and even if we spend only a substantially low percentage of 1.9% of our GDP, we will have a defense budget of 700 crores. We will be world's one of the biggest global markets because we will have a burgeoning middle class. And as having a unique geopolitical situation, demography, soft power, international connectivity, and the civilizational strength and the spiritual strength that Dr. Padma Subramanianji just told us and enlightened us about. You will be a tremendous power. Do you think so? Well, I think so. But there is an X factor. And that X factor is going to make a difference, and I have come to tell you only about that. Whether it is in defense, whether it is in manufacturing, whether it is in our socio-economic development, whether it is in any field, there is one factor that is going to make a difference, and that is you. Both as individually and collectively. Next 22 years, what you do and what you contribute, with what mindset and with what passion you live the life, that will determine what will happen to this nation. This is technology. If we have the technology, if we can surpass the technology, if we can meet the challenge of technology, if we have the technology warriors, we will be able to achieve not this, but much beyond it. But if we fail here, you miss it for many centuries to come. In the last 1,000 years, such a time has not come, and this is the generation who has got the time, and the challenge is yours. If you master it, countries' technological needs are going to be vast in every field, in every walk of life. We want it. But there are some critical areas. There are critical and emerging technologies that we'll have to probably look at with much greater, where we'll have to get much greater focus. It is important because our needs are multiple and diverse. But every nation has got some core needs. And first need is survival. You can have everything in the world. That will mean nothing if you don't survive. And we are in the business of saying that even if I perish, the country survives. If you become the technology warriors, you may perish, your technology must survive, the nation may survive. The debt that we owe to our ancestors, we are able to avenge our history. Indeed, we need an ecosystem of technology, high resources, infrastructure. But what we need most are the men like you. You must have heard many stories. There was a young scientist in Cambridge, young boy. In the Second World War, do you know who changed the history of the Second World War? You know him by the name of the man who started, father of computing. His name was Alan Turing. He found he could break the Enigma machine's code. And thereafter, all the U-boats and all the communications of the German army were intercepted, and the entire shape of the battle from 1943, from the late 42, actually it started turning. He died young at the age of 44. Very few of you know that he was a spy. He was an intelligence man working for the MI6. And he was inserted in this task of breaking the German code. But it required a person with great technical genius and things. Today, to guide, protect, and take this country ahead, you know, something happened in 2020. It was slightly a bad experience for us. We had a certain, we had a little fight. Of course, ultimately we were able to get everything, this thing. But certain decisions were taken. And one of the decisions that was taken is we are going to completely indigenize our communication systems, and 5G will not be imported from anywhere. It is necessary for our data protection, it is necessary for our communications, it was necessary for many security needs. At the same time, the country could not afford to lose the technology battle and remain behind and get decades behind. Chinese had taken over 22 years and spent about $300 billion for developing the 5G. We neither had that much of a time. I'm sorry, Chinese took about 12 years, not 22 years, 12 years. We neither had that sort of a time, nor even that sort of a money. Whom did we turn to? And that is why I said I owe a lot to Professor Kamakoti. We came and we talked with him. We wanted trusted sources. We wanted the system along with the private sector to work out. And within about 2.5 years, India was totally indigenous. And today's 5G, there's nothing foreign in that. And we owe it to your IIT. We owe it to our private sector. We owe it to others. All contributed a lot. Today, it ensures, Professor Kamakoti has put a system in place that when a screw that comes, that deals with anything which has got or which leads to the nation's security protection of the data protection or the anything that is, it comes from a trusted source. It's either made in India or it is something which is made by somebody who is very close to India. It comes from a trusted source. That concept was this thing when he said, how do we make our system totally insulated from any enemy influence and others? And we said that we will work for that. It looks small, but it is big. It is something that you have done a lot for doing that. Now, I was talking about that what could be the systems that will be important for us, which will be the game changers. You all know it, but I would like to emphasize it. Artificial intelligence is one of the great game changers. It took roughly 4.5 million years for a man to discover, invent fire, which was one transformative technology. Fire changed the whole concept of the world, the way the man lived. Another 2 lakh years, this thing, the wheel. And then many such things came which we call as this thing, which take a shorter time, and others, your steam engine, printing press, computers and others. The rate at which it was changing, the world was changing, artificial intelligence is going to change the world every year at that rate. It will become unrecognizable from everything that we do today. Is probably changed, and its applications will be diverse. It's not only required for your research and development, for machine learning, for large language models, for defense, robotics, medical, finance, anywhere. If India is able to lead and